It's that time of week again, Sunday, 6 p.m., and welcome to Steve's Place. Tonight we shall have an interesting speaker. Ralph will be back with us, talking about his favorite topic, water, and I'm sure we're going to learn a lot more new stuff about it. In the meantime, I'd like to remember everybody we do have a conference coming up uh, in Albuquerque, August 7th to 11th, and if you sign up now, you can and bring in a person with you, you can get 50% off. That's a great deal. We've had great conferences and very fortunate to be a guest at the Crown Plaza Hotel. The rooms are clean. You get a free breakfast every morning. And they're very reasonable. If you're with the conference there, we got down in the 80s. And normally these are almost $200 a night, so you're getting a super good deal. Better than AAA even, better than the military. Anyway, I also like to remind everybody we have a call for papers. We're looking for speakers. We're looking for, in particular, people with hardware, and we need some new people who haven't demonstrated or spoke at our conference before. We're looking for you. Now's your chance, for your 15 minutes of fame, that you're supposed to get, and this is a great time to get the attention of the investor class there and people looking with venture capital or just people who want to help you out and keep this technology growing. And I encourage, like if you know a budding scientist, now maybe get them involved with us. We do have a Teens Are Free program, so if you have a teenager uh, and have them sign up for the conference and come for free. I mean, you can't beat that. We are family oriented. Okay. And for those who need the year-round stuff, we have our Test Tech YouTube channel. We have over 1,000 videos on our YouTube. We have the Extraordinary Technology Conferences, the Exotic Research Conferences, and we're working on the Global Science Congresses right now. I'm up to 1998. Denver, I just finished converting them. Tonight I start putting them up there. We still have the Conference of Free Energy and the Tesla Symposiums from the 80s and 90s. So we have a lot of stuff up there that you're not going to find anywhere else, And if you're looking for something in particular, go to our website, testatech.info, and go to the big yellow box, and it gives you a direct link to the Test Tech channel. And we also have a conference directory. If you click on the conference directory, it brings up all the conferences that we have up there and converted already. And the same thing with speakers, only as for speakers. They're listed in alphabetical order to make it easier to find. These are ongoing works, and we are constantly updating them. Okay, these conferences are important because they're a sight into how the pioneers of these technologies were thinking. And that's where the real critical work got done. And some things, they wanted to do but couldn't do because maybe the material science at the time was not there. And now here it is, 100 years later, and we have new advances in material science, an understanding of physics, and just computing power, so there's a lot more we can do. So maybe you need to go check out these old videos there and see what happens, Like I say, we have a lot of original material there, and these people, many of them have passed on to the other side, and they're not going to come back. So this is the only place you're going to be able to learn anything from them. And so I encourage everyone to at least subscribe. Subscriptions are free, okay? And that gives you a couple hundred videos and gives you badges, okay? But the hot ticket, the really hot ticket, is exclusive membership for $9.99 a month. That gives you global access 24/7 to our hundreds of member-only videos. And most of our videos from here on out, I would say probably 3/4 will be members only because of the excessive censorship that's been going on online. If they're under the membership mantle, they're not scrutinized as hard as they would be as if they were open to the public. So be sure to go to the $9.99 per month exclusive member option. It's the second option there. So go to the second one, click on that $9.99. Make sure you get the $9.99 and join. Uh, I don't think you'll regret it, and you can always cancel at any time. So again, become a member. And with that, I'm getting ready to bring up Ralph, who will be talking to us about Hydriva. And there he is. How's it going, Ralph?
Hi, Steve.
Well, let me do some thing. There you go. So Ralph's been with us for many years. I've known Ralph since what, about mid '90s?
93, I think.
Yeah, '90s. So we've known each other for quite a long time. And Ralph is a very prolific inventor. He's got more inventions than Carter's got liver pills. So with that, Ralph, go ahead and tell him about yourself.
Yeah, being an inventor is not everything it's what it's cracked up to be. I got a barn full of failures, So inventing is not an exact science. But you just get on a track. You get on it. You have this you just have this get these ideas in your head, and I was really interested in water. Because, well, first of all, there was the age when everybody was kind of focusing on the potential of hydrogen power, right? It was a big push in the '90s, actually, creating a hydrogen economy, right? And so I was kind of in that club. George Weissman, Stan Myers. There were several really smart guys that were pushing for this new energy technology using hydrogen. And so I was in that club, and then when I saw that they're just not going to let us have that, they're not ready for us to have the hydrogen economy. I shifted my attention because I kind of was educated about the physics of water. And searching and learning about, making hydrogen, I had to learn the physics of water. And that investigation took me to a lot of places. It was fascinating. I ended up developing a number of water systems that manipulated water in different ways. By 2000, I had the year 2000, I had met Masaru Emoto from Tokyo, Japan, and he and I collaborated and worked together in studying water all around the world. We just took samples and I took photographs of them, and I also took photographs of water that I would treat using electrical fields, sound, magnetism, in different ways, right? So it was just an incredible journey, learning about the magical properties of water, because we grew up thinking water was just a simple substance. I never thought water was anything other than just a simple substance. And my grandfather was a scientist, and he once told me, he says, water's really probably the greatest mystery in science. He said, we called it H2O because we didn't know what else to call it, but it's way more, we know it's way more complex than that. And so we were talking about, atoms, it's thousands of times smaller than a pinhead. It's like, how are you going to really observe that? So the only really way that we were able to really observe water is by freezing it, and then we could look at the patterns from the frozen crystals. That's what Emoto discovered. And so, but it was fascinating because we saw that there was geometry in healthy water, and there was no geometry in unhealthy water. It's pretty basic. Wasn't um, uh, fake. It's fake science. It's just actually just physically did it. I got to see it myself personally, and so it was really fascinating to be on this journey and learning about something that we all grew up thinking was just this simple substance. Turns out it's not a simple. It's this magical super substance that can be manipulated in many different ways. And we're not even, getting close to real. I mean, we're still poisoning our water to make it safe to drink. We're literally poisoning our water so that we can pipe it through the pipes and into everyone's home. And we don't understand the consequences that has caused. For over 100 years, we've been piping this poisonous water. And the poisonous water, okay, it's you can drink it, but it doesn't mean it's not poison. It's like having arsenic in water. Well, it has safe levels of arsenic. Okay, you have safe levels of chlorine, which is an antibiotic, but also a poison. So again, we just got pushed into this paradigm where chemicals were the only solution, right? It was like, okay, chemicals did, probably saved a lot of lives. I mean, chlorinated water probably saved a lot of lives, but we didn't realize the long-term consequences. And I think we're coming to those consequences now. And, uh, and the other, okay, one of the main ones that really got my attention, and this was 20 years ago, when I was working with the EPA scientist. They were testing my water systems, and I learned from them that the chlorine was creating these super toxins in the water, because when chlorine basically came in contact with any organic material, it converted into these what they call super. There's a different bunch of names for them. I can't think of all the names now, but they're considered super toxins. When chlorine combines with organic matter, it creates super toxins. Okay, but the water treatment plant said, hey, there's nothing we can do about that. It's like, I mean, we can't control the organics without spending a lot of money. And so the result of that is that the bugs in the water were forced to adapt and evolve, and becoming more increasingly resistant to the very chemicals meant to eliminate them. This happens much the same way that people require stronger and stronger antibiotics to combat bacteria. And so, but anyway, it's basically the crystalline structure of water is absolutely vital to the homeostasis of water. And and why is that important? Because the vibration is what controls the environment. I mean, really sets the environment for either a bad bacteria or good bacteria. You're always going to have bacteria in water. There's no eliminating bacteria from water. It's the bad bacteria that we have to be careful of. And the bad bacteria, it's just an environmental issue, and nobody approached the water like as an environmental issue. They just approached the water. Well, the water is in a disease state, which is why they have these bacteria and algae and fungus problems, because it's in a disease state, literally in a disease state. And so all you have to do is go, okay, well, if we listen to, Pasteur, yeah, we got to keep pouring more and more chemicals into it to solve the problem. But if we listen to Béchamp, who said it was the environment, not the bacteria, the environment controls the narrative. And so changing the environment was always the solve. It was always the solution, right? Nobody may put the emphasis on the environment. And that's what we have to do with everything. I mean, again, nature's showing us the way. But the environment is what's causing the low vibration, the low frequency, right? And this environment is what just forces, I mean, bacteria and algae and fungus, all the things that you don't want in water, thrive in. And so what's our solution? Our solution is to pour more and more chemicals into the water. That's the way you solve that. You don't know that? That's anybody, any educated person in the field of water would tell you, yeah, you just got to just dump a lot of chemicals in it. That's the experts, right? Or or you could do something crazy, like what I would do is I would energize the water and change the environmental frequency, and then disease and wouldn't have a need to be there. In fact, they would just die off, because it's not their conducive to their natural habitat, right? So you can control the narrative by controlling the frequency or the vibration of water. Now, truthfully, I'm going to talk about a few things tonight, but I really wanted to touch on this because it just doesn't get, to me, doesn't get brought up enough. And I know it gets brought up, but it doesn't. What doesn't get brought up is the solution, right? And so, what I mean by solution, globally, our healthcare systems are failing. I mean, they're just, I mean, aging with aging, the chronically ill, and all the, the diseases that are increasing, the Parkinson disease, dementia, all these things. And our healthcare system can't maintain itself. There's no way, it's unsustainable to continue, to continue with this healthcare model, right? And it's based on a paradigm of conventional Western medicine, and it's proven to be increasingly broken. And it's a model that costs a fortune and delivers very little. I mean, anyway, it's so okay. So the future will be, and dealing with things like, okay, what's the most important substance that we put in our body? Water. Okay, we cook with it. We wash our clothes with it. We can't survive without it. But more importantly, we're constantly engaged, in some fashion, one way or another, whatever we're drinking or something. We're always exposed on a daily basis to water. But what nobody's realizing is that water's not natural anymore. We've taken water out of nature, and we put it in these containers, storage containers, or whatever um, system that you're dealing with. In other words, water basically becomes stagnant, right? It becomes stagnant, and so when you have stagnant water, the molecules lose their vibration, they lose their charge, and they all clump together. They call it water clumping or molecule clumping. And the currency is hydrogen, right? Hydrogen is the currency of water. And so we don't really get um, the currency of water anymore. We're drinking stuff. We're drinking whatever. If you're making iced tea, you have to make it with water. You're drinking your iced tea, but it's dead, from the sense that the water molecules have lost their charge. And within the water you cook with, everything, basically all our water now is just dead, right? And chemical companies love that, because that means that you need more chemicals, right? So the chemical companies aren't going to tell you what's going on, or even if they may not even know. But what's cool about it is once we realize the value of structuring water, the value of that, we can change the world. We can change everything. I mean, can you imagine a world where we're piping a living water, energized living water, into every home, and people are drinking with it, they're cooking with it, they're washing with it, they're doing everything you do with water. But again, this water is where no disease can live, right? And now you're drinking that water. Well, how do you think that transfers over as far as your potential health? What effects it may have on your health, right? Potentially, right? Well, I can tell you, it has a tremendous potential. And it's such a simple way to improve everyone's lives, is through improving our water supplies. And no one, not one, I don't know one water treatment, and I've been all over the world. I don't know one water treatment facility that uses a structuring device to treat their water. I mean, everybody just puts chemicals in it, poisonous chemicals, safe levels, of poison. Okay, don't get me wrong. I'm not after, not trying to put down the water treatment plants. It's safe levels of poison they're putting in the water, um, and they are solving the problem. They're preventing and reducing the bacteria and algae, fungi, whatever. And so, that's a good thing, but it's a very lazy way to do it, because one, you're not really addressing it, and two, you're really potential. Again, I learned this from the EPA, is that the superbugs are a real thing. They're not going away, and they tried to tell the Congress. The Congress put a gag order on them, that chlorine is we've got to change, from using. You want to get away from using chlorine. It has too many problems. But the problem is they didn't have a solution other than chlorine. Ozone didn't pass the test. UV doesn't pass the test. So, RO systems, they're still not dealing with the root of the water, in terms of the vibration. They're not dealing with the vibration of water. They still haven't got their heads wrapped around that. The water is a vibration. It's like, oh my God. Okay. And so, and understanding that water is geometric, right? And geometry traps light, thus creates vibration. So there's some simple, basic, fundamental things that just got eliminated from the textbooks. And so, if they didn't learn it, it doesn't exist. If they didn't get it taught that in their school, then there's no truth to it. And it's like, oh well, okay, that's what you believe. But the truth is, it's a wonderful thing. And again, I've been working at it for over 30 years, and I developed a number of systems. I've been in the water treatment business for half my life, and I've had some great successes, a lot of failures, but a lot of great successes. And my recent successes is I developed a water system that we basically I think what we call it, yeah, vortex frequency resonance, right? You say, why? What is vortex frequency resonance? Well, what I'm doing is I'm creating a vortex, and I'm adding frequency resonance to the water, resonate, basically trapping the frequency in the water, creating a resonant effect. Okay, so that's the name vortex frequency resonance. And I pioneered this technology. I've had multiple patents, and I patented the science of living water using multiple devices. And so, yeah, this energetic state of water is all we. If we just did this one thing, I'm just trying to do it in my lifetime. I'm not having the greatest success. I've certainly made a good living in the water business, but I haven't made the kind of changes that I thought I would in my lifetime. And people like Dr. Masaru Emoto, who discovered water, has this incredible um, ability to share its information, right? Its geometrical information by freezing the water and being able to look at it. Now you only have like 1.5 seconds to photograph the water, because when the light that's coming from the microscope hits the water crystal, there's a sort of an incredible opening of the crystal, and then it disappears because the light melts the crystal away. So you only have 1.5 seconds to grab that photograph. But it was amazing. I mean, I got to see what distilled water looked like under the water. I got to see what polluted water what it looked like under the water, and with playing music or a single frequency or what have you. But I just saw that water has memory. That was the main point. I thought it's like, okay, water carries memory. And the other reason that I was concerned is because hanging out with the EPA guys and the people in the water industry, I learned that the chemicals that we take, all the drugs, I think I talked about this the last time, 75% of the drugs that are produced by the pharmaceutical industry are consumed by the United States, and we make up 5% of the world's population. So all these drugs are being taken, but they're ending up in the toilet and then right back into the wastewater plants. And the wastewater plants does a little bit of filtering, not much. It's not a filtration situation. What they do is they dump a lot more chemicals in there, and they try to clean up the water the best they can, and then they dump it right back into the rivers, lakes, and streams. And what we do is we get our water sources from the rivers, lakes, and streams. So we're basically recycling this water. And so what I was like, oh my God, anyway, I mean, I was a bit overexcited back when I was younger, about solving this problem. But the truth is, we're not slowing down with our drugs and our drug taking, right? And the chemicals in our environment aren't diminishing; they're increasing. All of our chemicals, these are chemicals, they're synthetics. It's hard for nature to break synthetic chemicals down. I mean, eventually they do, but it's not. It doesn't happen quickly, and it's not as easy as if it was an organic compound. Right? These synthetic compounds are just harder to break down, and so they stay in our environment longer. And so I just felt like, hey, we should solve this, and I worked on solving it, and I solved a lot of it with my original Hydriva system. Change the slide, Steve. Okay, what do we have here? Yeah. These are all the different applications. You know, I mean, I did a residential system, which basically erases the memory and energizes the water. But it also works with the microbiome. I had to build a water system that that was effective uh, uh, in terms of the microbiome. Did the microbiome flourish in my water, or was it sterile in my water? What did did I hurt? What does my water do to the microbiome? Well, it makes the microbiome flourish. And our microbiome is our immune system. It's our, it turns out we're learning more and more the importance of our microbiomes. And, just in the last 20 years, we've really made a big a leap in our understanding and the importance of the microbiome. So I built my water system based on what the microbes expressed, right? I mean, if the microbes, if the gut microbes liked it, then I was golden. One of my early units is a little Hydriva unit that I let people hook up to their house and say, just treat your whole house, be done. And I got systems that are out, more than 20 years, 25 plus years now, I suppose. But the important thing is that, yeah, you want to revitalize the water, because that's what water really was. Water is always moving. Water doesn't see. You very rarely see water sitting still, and if you do, it has the potential of of a low vibration, right? And again, this is a problem that we can easily solve. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, and people are always asking me this. Well, they asked me a few things. Well, one of them was, when's the best time to hydrate? And I said, well, okay, well, that's a good question. I said, we're a lot like nature. In nature, when's the best time to hydrate? First thing in the morning, or in the evening, in the early evening, right? That's when you water your yard. You don't water your yard when the sun's out. You water your yard right after the sun, the sun starts to go down, and you water your yard right when the sun goes up. Right? So those are the two best times to hydrate. Well, it's the same for the human beings. Early in the morning, best time to hydrate, and early in the evening, best time to hydrate. The other thing is like, what's the best way to increase hydration? Well, adding mineral salts to your water, rapidly increases your hydration. I mean, we learned this from Gatorade and some of these other so-called hydration drinks, right? It's the minerals that help increase hydration, right? So everybody's drinking, this fresh, clean water. Well, that doesn't mean they're getting hydrated. They're maybe filtering their kidneys and bladder, but they're not really hydrating. So they're not getting the currency from the water, right? They're not really getting the full currency or the value of the water. But just some simple stuff. Again, we live in a world where everything's so fast, and information's coming so quickly, and we got to grab whatever we can, and it's just so confusing. But one thing we should not be confused about is the quality of water is like the most important thing you can do for yourself. Seriously. Oh my God. Why do I have to, try to convince someone of that obvious fact that, the quality of water, it's such an easy thing to do. So easy to charge your water. And so you make it, and again, the other side of the benefit is, if you looking back, we're 70% water on average. As you get older, you lose, you drop down to 50%, I'm told. But that water changes, in terms of, in other words, if you can introduce energized water, it will change out the old water for the new water. And it just does wonderful things for your health. Obviously it's working. I built the water system based on its ability to work with the microbiome. So my Hydriva unit for the whole house has been done exceptionally well over a few decades. And but now I've kind of moved out of that world, and I've moved back into the world of really how we're gonna how are we gonna change the way we treat our water? How can I stop the madness of poisoning our water to make it safe to drink? How can I get people to understand there's another way? There's a way through energetics and through physics that we can treat our water differently and make it more valuable. And one of the ways that I did is with my VFR method, right? And it just basically restructures the water, creating a crystalline a structure in a high energy state, right? And so disease can't live there. It doesn't want to live there. It can't. It's vibrationally conducive for its habitat. So it's such a simple solution to a major problem, right? And so I'm I'm excited that we finally. I mean, I finally got through my what they call it, alpha and beta testing, where I had to prove my technology worked, and I had to get the patents and all the stuff done. I got all that done. Finally finished with all that, and now we're down to figuring out the manufacturing procedures and getting into manufacturing. We start the first of next year, and so we'll be in production next year. And these are wonderful. I mean, you can put them on your pools, and now the reason why I got to call it a chemical reduction unit is for liability reasons, because people can pollute their pools on for whatever reasons they may want to do that in order to sue me, because I said you don't need chemicals. Well, by law, people, in the, if you're, if a private citizen, you don't have to put chemicals, but by law, the cities and state and federal government have mandated chlorine. So if you don't have chlorine and you claim that your device you don't need chlorine, then believe me, I'll be the first one they attack. I learned that from at a international pool and spa show when I introduced my technology years ago, and I was told that they're just going to sue you once you get in business. All it takes is one ear infection from little Johnny, who pooped in the pool, and I'm going to be sued for millions of dollars. And so I learned from that, and so I'm going to call myself a chemical reduction unit. But when you walk out to your swimming pool, it's going to be crystal clear, never a problem. It's an automatic clarifier, sterilizer, structured water device. I mean, the benefits are going to be beyond people's, their imaginations are going to go wild when you're swimming in this water. You won't get sunburn because the water is energized and it's hydrating, so it just prevents you from getting sunburn. And so there's going to have a lot of side effects. You're going to want to be in this water a lot more because it's now a liquid energy, right? And so the pool units are just going to be awesome. And it's taken me years to get this thing finally up and into production. So I'm really proud about finally getting that out. And I'm going to build, once I get through with my pool units, I'm going to build these large container size water treatment units that could treat potentially municipalities or at least communities, and at least give them the option. Or maybe the United States will be the last to adopt it, but because of the federal laws in place, because I eliminate chlorine. You don't need chlorine. You don't need a lot of the chemicals when you structure water. It just eliminates a lot of that, because the water treatment plants right now are dealing with water that's in a disease state, right? Just like, anything that's in a disease state, they got to bring out the big guns and all the, the chemicals and the poisons and all the things that they got to do to, kill the disease. Meanwhile, the disease ain't doing it. Their disease is just doing what it's supposed to do. They're there because the vibration is so low that it's created a perfect environment for their habitat. And so it's basic knowledge of, on physics and the physics of water has allowed me to develop a number of systems. And I've used, I use cleaning up rivers, lakes, and streams. I've done, cooling towers, jacuzzis, agriculture all across the spectrum, including golf courses. I was just showing people, say, hey guys, the currency of water is being overlooked. And what I mean by that is we're not getting the value out of this water, but that potentially we could be getting if we just structured it before you put it out. Simple. And again, this is kind of like some fringe science right now, but that's just, I don't know why. In the 30 years I've been in it, I mean, there was some people back in the day, and I just remembered some of them. Rustum Roy, I think he was from Penn State. He was a brilliant water science guy, and he was really wanting to know. I mean, he took me on, a guy that had no letters behind his name, and he valued my opinion, and he valued my work and the technology I was working on. But unfortunately, he passed away, and his life for me was cut short, too short, because we were just beginning to be engaged in some projects, and so I I I saw that there was some interest in a few universities, right? But water should be like, like a subject like math, and history. We should. So water is so interesting, and so there's way more to it than just looking at this simple substance, this simple clear substance that we have named H2O, and it's like way more complicated than that, and way more fascinating, and the geometrical structure and the energetic properties that can be potentially. Anyway, this is the game changer. So yeah, I just came out with what everybody's been searching. It's basically, call it the oh, what's that I was thinking of I couldn't think of the term, but basically, when you come up with something that everybody's looking for. Everybody's looking for it. It'd be like this is the free energy of water, right? Everybody's looking for an over unity device or whatever. Well, everybody's also looking for an alternative way to treat water where you don't need chemicals, right? UV and ozone, they got their problems. Uh, there are certain situations where those technologies will work, but not in every situation, right? And they certainly come with their problems. And where I came up with a way that's very economical, super low energy, and super smart, because I just figured out what water wanted. I was a student of water, and if you're a student of water, you you have to learn from water. You have to look at how nature purifies itself, and so on, right? And understand the chemistry is has its own homeostasis, and you have to follow some certain rules. You can't just try to manipulate water just because you feel like just because you can manipulate water doesn't mean that's always the right way to do it. You also have to check with and look at the crystalline structure of water. Look at the microbiome of the water, right? The energetics properties of the water. So there's a lot of different ways to look at water that most people don't consider. And so, yeah, I developed. Go ahead, spin the slides there, Steve. Yeah, hold on. Yeah, those are the different water systems I've developed over the years. But the one that I really just finally perfected was the electronic living water system. It's it's also a clarifier. I basically combined a lot of my the learning, what I learned about water. I combined everything into this one system. And yeah, it's being sold as a pool unit, but it can be used in almost any applications, right? That's my whole house unit there you're looking at, and it's that's what I've sold for over 30 years. The unit that I use magnets that I was able to program, and I create this little vortex chamber in there. And so yeah, those are great. Those are great. Those are I've sold tens of thousands of them over the years, and they've done well. But yeah, so yeah, keep going. All right, there it is. Yeah, that's what I just finished. That's my pool unit. But it's the granddaddy of all technologies right there. I mean, you only need to run this thing like 5 hours. During the summer, you might have to run it 5 hours every 2 or 3 weeks. And then when you get into the fall and the winter, you can maybe run it 1 or 2 hours through the fall and winter, and that'll treat the water, because once the water goes cold or gets cooler, the molecules slow down, right? And so the information stays in the water much longer, 3, 4, 5, 10 times longer. And the sun has a lot to do with it too, but mostly, you only have to really run it in the summer and a little bit in the spring, not maybe one time for that would treat the water for a couple of months. But when you get into the summer, it's once every 2 or 3 weeks. Anyway, so it turns out like 20, 25 hours a year is all you need to run our system. And so it's economical that way. And yeah, and the applications are just too numerous to list. I mean, I've done business with bottled water companies. I tested my water system in the aquarium industry because I wanted to see how it affected the growth cycle of the fish and to see if I disrupted anything there. I did not. I did business with the food and beverage industry. You know, the bread, the people that manufacture bread, the Bimbo. I think I was working with Bimbo, and several other companies. So I've been able to, basically just try my technology. Oh, and milk. I did milk, which was really interesting. I was able to extend the shelf life of milk. But all these things required, more investment and, mostly, lots of testing. And in the game that I was in, it cost millions of dollars to play this game in terms of trying to change laws or kick out the old way of doing things and introduce a new way. It took more powerful influence than I was able to muster, unfortunately. But I enjoyed every minute of it, and I did get my technology out to a lot of different people. Yeah, so in the hydroponic, obviously, that was the big deal because, and I'm not even doing something something so far fetched that people go, "What are you talking about? That sounds crazy." What do you mean it sounds crazy? That water molecules lose their charge and clump together, and the currency is hydrogen. So if it's all clumped together, it's like having, like I've said it many times, a stack of $100 bills. But if they're all glued together, where's the value, right? You got to break those bills apart, right, to get the value, and you got to break the molecules apart to get the value as well, right? And so yeah, I've been, in the agriculture industry around the world, France, South America, United States. I've been working with using my water system in agriculture for over 25 years. And so I got to see, I was like, wait a minute, why aren't people, now there are people, I will say this, in agriculture, more and more people are getting onto it, right? They're being educated, and they're making moves in this direction, right? They're saying, hey, why not, alter the water to make it more energized, and thus, increasing the hydration, of the plants. They grow bigger, faster, better, more mature. And so, yeah, it's an incredible agricultural boost. What's the next slide, Steve? Environmental cleanup. Yeah. Well, again, okay. So if people understand this. Okay. So I figured out my water system accelerated the microbial activity of the microbes, right? It increased their activity. And so guess what? Environmental cleanup, what we're trying to do there, we're trying to increase the the microbial activity, because the microbes are what's doing all the work. Man's, just figuring out how to make the mess. At the end of the day, if man was taken out of the equation, the microbes would come around and just clean everything up and bring everything back into a natural homeostasis. That's what microbes do. They bring things back into balance. When things are out of balance. I don't know how they work exactly, but I just know they're fascinating to see them clean up everything. So I ran into a lot of resistance because there were a lot of contracts that people were trying to be awarded these different cleanup contracts. And here I came in with a very economical, simple solution. And I'm going up against big players with, millions of dollars behind them, and then with their political contacts and things of that nature. I just didn't know how to play that in that arena, because I was just there to solve the problem. And it turns out it's a political solution, right? It's like you got to play politics, and you got to pay off the right people, or whatever the game is. I didn't know how to play, but I did get to try to demonstrate my technology and show that, hey, this is another tool in the tool bag that could maybe help improve our environments. Again, it's all about raising the vibration of the environment. I mean, Pasteur and Bechamp, God, it was so easily, if we just turned right instead of left, and chased the Pasteur theory all the way to its end, we and to our end, if we don't turn around. But Bechamp said it was the environment that's driving the microbes, and he was right. But nobody wanted to listen to him. I don't know why. People, it's like I know they were smart people back then. But anyway, whatever the reasons were, we failed. And so, yeah, I'm real excited about bringing this new technology. It's a new technology, and it's a finished technology. It's not one with like I mean, remember, Steve, all these different inventions, like the water car. Remember the water car? It was a whole bunch of inventions that you heard that were coming. It's coming. Yeah, we're almost there. Whatever. Anyway, well, this one's here. I mean, we're there. We're there. And so, yeah, this is going to be wonderful because, again, the quality of water is the key. You got to, I mean, to our to the health of not only of the human population, but to our environment as a whole, right? Improving the water quality. It's because it's just driving all of our everything's vibrationally down, and which is where all the disease lives. So it's like one thing that if we can figure out how to get past whatever hurdles that they're putting in front of us for such a simple solve, some so simple as to how to increase the vibration of our water. It's not some far-fetched idea. It's so simple. And so, yeah, I'm gonna spend whatever time as long as my brain is still functioning, I'm gonna spend what time I have left, preaching this simple solution. And yeah, and I have. Let's see, what else we have? What's on more slides, Steve? Is that it? Oh, that's my just. No, that's just describing. Stop right there. Why should I buy a Hydriva water system? Okay, you may be asking yourself about it. Increasing overall yield. Oh yeah, this was me in agriculture. I was like, showing the agricultural people. It's like, man, you buy this unit, and first of all, it lasts forever, and you will save a fortune. And growers, I mean, when I sold a lot to growers, but what's crazy is the growers never shared this information with other growers. It's like they kept a secret. I don't know. I still don't understand that attitude, but it was like a best kept secret. Anyway, when you increase your yield by 30% on average, right, just by adding a water device, I mean, why wouldn't you do it, right? So yeah, moving on, Steve. Is there another? Keep going. Oh, okay. Wow, we're almost to the end. Yeah, well, that's my website. They're working on it now. They're fixing to change it because they're adding the pool unit, but I was waiting to get the final the actual final photograph of our production unit. Right now, you're seeing the beta units out there, right? The alpha and the beta units that have been tested, but the final production unit, we're waiting to get that, and then we're gonna put that on the website, and then it'll be one of our main products. And thousands of them are already I'm already have customers that by the thousands already interested in getting one, because yeah, this is going to be, and again, it's not just for pools. I'm selling it as a pool unit, but it can be used in anything. I mean, anywhere where you need large amounts of structured energized water, right? But you didn't have to worry about disease or algae or fungus or any other thing growing in that water, but and with a super high frequency energy vibration. So yeah, I'm almost there, Steve. I mean, in terms of when I'll be a lot happier when we're in full production. But we've come a long way, and it took me 30 years, so it wasn't a short ride to get this thing really finally just really dialed in and perfected to where in any situation it's going to work, and requiring little to no maintenance at all. And so I just kept honing it, honing my understanding of the water, and kept improving our device and to the point where it finally is just it's bulletproof. It's wonderful. We have a question there. What's that? Who's
How many times should the water be passed through the hydriva to be applied to injuries?
okay? Well, if we're talking about the the whole house unit, or we're talking the pool unit, it's just one pass. But the whole house unit, okay. Well, a lot of people, truthfully, most people don't use my unit to hook up to their whole house because it's more valuable to them to hold in their hands and pour through several times, and then they make what they call a concentrated energized water, and it just has more benefits. Runners, people in athletics and stuff, they'll use that water and to when they're exercising or they're running, and they have more energy and stuff like that. So most people actually use it as a pour through, the whole house unit as a pour through. But one time is good. One time is, the microbes in the gut, they like one time. You can't run on concentrated energized water. It's kind of, it's in that way, it's sort of medicinal. You can do it for short periods, but you can't run on it. It's too strong. And so, but it does have its incredible energy potential there. Okay, so Maria, what do you have? See, how long would one of these home units run? Like, for how many years, decades would it last roughly? Well, the home units, honestly, they've lasted indefinitely. I mean, I was putting these hydriva units in homes in the mid 90s. And they're still there and still working. So I don't know. I mean, I think it also depends on the water quality. It's not just a one size fits all answer, but yeah, some of them are 20, 30 years for the whole house unit. The pool unit, I honestly don't know how long they're going to last. I know I built them to last for as long as possible because you don't need to run them all the time. Imagine you have a device that only needs to run 25 hours a year. So I'm kind of guessing that that's going to last 10 plus years minimum. I mean, the only damage I think it's going to be caused is the sun damage, but if I keep, learning about how to make these things safer from the sun, I think I can make a unit that would virtually last indefinitely because the technology is so simple, really. I've simplified it. Let's say, Paul, what is Paul asking? Is there a benefit to using the hydriva water in an ultrasonic essential? Yes, that's a good question. Absolutely. In fact, I built a machine called the hydrosauna where I built what I call a hydroxy vapor. And the electronic water is more powerful than the hydriva water, but the magnetic water, the electronic water is more powerful than the magnetic water, but it's still beneficial. And I highly recommend it. It's a great way of, a nebulizer uses used in a nebulizer because it hydrates your tissue and it decreases inflammation. So it's very, 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 very powerful in that way. Can you get into the physics and chemistry mechanics? Okay, Jeremy, you're getting down the rabbit hole here. Related to the hydriva water treatment. Congrats on a long career working with water. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. This is where I'm going to give you the third grade because I can talk complicated, but you don't need to be complicated when you're talking about water. Water has there's basic fundamental facts about the way water works. Okay. We know about the vortex, right? Everybody knows what a vortex is. Well, a vortex is the water's ability to breathe. Okay. There's a vacuum energy there, 0 point ether, whatever you want to call it. It pulls that ether into the water molecules, and it's that ether that charges those molecules, but it also creates geometry. I was fascinated by how we took water that had no geometry whatsoever, and then we ran it through one single spiral, and we saw geometry begin to form. And so the more vortexes that we ran it through, the more geometry formed. But we also found that if we played sounds in and around the vortex, greater geometry forms. And then now we're starting to see real, what we call mature water, a more crystalline structure of water. Okay. Very fascinating to see the evolution of water from an immature water to a mature water. It's really fascinating to see. And so, but it was the vortex, it was the vacuum energy that was that was creating this order, this fascinating order to water. And so, yeah, the vortex was the key. And of course, lots of water systems out there, are capitalizing on the vortex, right? So yeah, I hope that I under, okay. Now the other thing too. Okay, now what is the system? What am I doing? Well, I discovered magnetic ions has one effect on water. Electrical ions have another effect. The magnetic ions have a more benefit. Again, by the way, when I say magnetic, I'm talking about subtle energy. Water doesn't like gross current. Subtle energy is the most powerful um, um, approach to influencing water. Okay, and so subtle energy, or I'm sorry, weak magnets are actually better than strong magnets. Is what I'm getting at. All right, and so I had to find again what water accepted. Anything that was too strong, it blurred the crystal, it blew the crystal out. Right. And so you had to do it. You had to follow. Water told you what it wanted. You didn't have to guess. Water told you what it wanted, and it was all subtle energy that was the most influential to water. And even my electrical energy, the minute amount of energy of electrical energy is required to do it. You can't do too much. It throws the water out of balance, the crystalline structure out of balance, and you missed you missed your mark, right? So yeah, I developed these subtle energy systems and the subtle energy water systems because I wanted to mimic nature as best I could, because that's what you're really trying to do. I'm trying to make a water that nature approves, and so yeah, I used magnetic ions and I used electrical ions, and I just formed these crystalline structures, which if you understand the physics, geometry is critical to water because geometry traps light. It's the trapped light that creates the vibration that determines the frequency of the water, whether or not disease is going to live there, or healthy bugs, or healthy microbes are going to live there. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward. My method, I had to, I made a lot of different types, a lot of different systems. I came out with a system where I'm converting bath water into carbonic acid. That's going to be cool. I'm coming out. That's going to be like the closest thing to the fountain of youth we've ever come out with is a Hydriva carbonic acid bath, and working on that right now. That'll be out next year, Steve. I look forward to coming back and talking about that and all the research behind it that supports our understanding that soaking in carbonic acid is completely regenerative. I mean, like off the scales. People won't, anyway, I'm looking forward to getting those out because those are going to be phenomenal. And so, yeah, I'm finishing up my year. I've been working at this for probably 3 years straight, and I'm wrapping everything up, in this year, and so that next year we're just going to be in production. So, yeah, see, that's my that's my story for tonight.
So, are you going to do a book on this?
You know what? That's funny you asked. I've been collecting all my papers over the last few days. My different articles and some books that I started I never finished. And I decided, if I put all of this information together, I said I might have a decent book. If I start putting all this stuff I've collected over the years, and so I decided to take it all with me. I'm fixing to go up to the mountains for a while, and my retreat, and I'm going to take all my notes and things and my unfinished books and see if I can't put something together.
That'd be interesting. I'll be interested in seeing it when you get it done.
Yeah. Yeah. So. It's a lot of stuff. 30 years of investigation. I mean, I've basically been a technology detective, right? And I've had great friends, and support over the years. Ren Rivas was one of my dearest, closest friends. She was the best little, Ren, she's a great detective. She's a medical detective, but um, we would travel together all over and look and go to these conferences and just learn everything we could. Conferences like yours, right? That's kind of where I started. This is where my education really began. Is at the conferences the type of conferences you put on.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing your Carbonic stuff. One of the things I noticed working with the geek stuff is that Paul, he always pulled the material through the vacuum chamber or through the chamber as opposed to push it through, you know. And if you try push it through, you don't get the same results you do as if you pull a vacuum. So I imagine the same things with the water technology. It's probably critical to have a vacuum when you're trying to produce your stuff, when you're making your vortexes.
Yeah, you get into that what they call the fourth phase of water. It's that's the one thing Gerald Pollack was able to do for us is educate us about the importance or the understanding of the fourth phase of water, which is it's not a liquid, it's not a solid, it's not a gas. It's just an energy state. It's
Yeah.
a liquid energy state. And so, but this is critical because man, we can all benefit from this, and it's not hard, it's not weird, but it's not. In other words, this isn't some incredible story that's hard to believe. What I'm telling you is just basic, obvious truth. So yeah, and I'm going forward. I mean, business is booming. I mean, doing really well. I just um, went maybe a little overboard trying to invent everything at once. I think that was probably, if I look back, that might have been a mistake. But on one hand, it was a mistake. The other hand is I completed everything that I set out to do, or work on, and everything I've been working on for 25, 30 years. So finishing has been. Um, yeah, it's just I'm beginning to feel relief that I'm coming to the end on many of my investigations. Like it's one thing to know all these things. It's another thing to know about all the problems. But working on the solution, that's where things can get difficult. And then you not only you got to find the solution, then you got to build the solution, right? It's one thing to know the solution, but then when you got to build the solution, and then you build the solution, then you got to go into manufacturing, and that's a whole nother science that you have to master. So it's been a journey, Steve, but I've stayed with it. It's taken me a lifetime, but we're finally making great strides. Finally, a little bit of momentum.
Well, I want to remind everyone, if you want to get one of these devices, contact info@hydriva.com or call the office number 251-201-0322 and order yours today. And they'll get it shipped out. Hopefully, if they order it right away, how long will it take them to get it?
Oh, a couple of days, 3 days. I don't know.
There
They
you
have,
go.
they have them in stock. The pool unit but you need to get on the list. If you want a pool unit, you want to at least get on the list because as soon as they make the first round, they're already sold. So you want to get on the list for sure. If you got a pool, you want one of these. I promise. Yeah, and I'm gonna get people say, how long? What's your? I said, look, you're not gonna return this. I'll be fighting you to get this back from you. Um, so I'm not worried about returns, but I mean, I'll put whatever. I have to do some kind of term limit, 90, 100, whatever days I got to give to let people try it. But I, I I'm convinced that's not going to be an issue. But I am seeing that they're sold already. What I'm making, there's already sold. So I think people should get on a list to make sure that they're when we do have them, that people will get them. But right now, the whole house unit's on the only thing I really have available uh, for the individual.
Okay, then here's another question. How does easy water affect your health?
Say that again. Let's see. Does drinking easy water affect your health? Okay, I don't know enough. I mean, I used to know about easy water. That was something I was introduced to years ago. So I've forgotten what exactly what easy water is. Um, and no, but I know of Walter's work. But I do know of his work. But again, I took these are the guys who are the forerunners to water research, right? Walter was one of the forerunners, and they were all on the same. We're all been on the same track. It's just okay. Like I was able to use Tesla technology and imprint information into my subtle energy magnets, right? I was able to actually imprint information into my magnets so that information transferred into the water. I mean, I just kept evolving where everybody else said, hey, well, this works. Well, great. Oh, easy. Oh, exclusion. Well, that's the easy water. Okay, I forgot. I said, where did I know about easy water? That's Gerald's term for the fourth phase of water. That's easy water. Okay. So that's it. That's what easy water is. It's basically fourth phase of water. It's just energized water. That's what fourth phase water is. But my thing was Gerald. It's like, hey, make the science. Make a product. I mean, I own the patents on most of the water, energized water systems. I never sued anyone. I mean, I support everyone in the water business. I want everybody to succeed. We all need to be improving our water every way possible. I mean, just praying over the water we know has an effect. It lowers the surface tension. There's a physical change in water. There's a physical change in water when we pray on it. We know that physically. I mean, that's been looked at in the labs. We know that actually affects the water. So, how do you imprint a magnet? Well, okay. Well, I use a Tesla coil. I won't go into all the details. It's proprietary, but I use a Tesla coil and use specific antenna technology that I discovered, and I imprint information into the beads, geometry. I imprint a lot of information into the beads. That, I've learned how to do that. That's been kind of my secret sauce to my water systems, because people can say, "Oh, I can put magnets in a tube." I say, "Yeah, you can," and that'll do something, but it's not the same as what I'm doing. So, yeah.
Well, with that, I'm going to remind everyone to come to our conference coming up. Who knows, we may see you there again. Maybe you can bring your carbonic bath with you.
Yeah. I'll make sure somebody shows up with one. See.
And it'll be August 7th to 11th at the Crown Plaza. Sign up today. We need people to sign up early. The earlier, the better. Make your mission this holiday season to let one person at least know about the conference. And come to our conference and that. But the most important of all, become a member on YouTube there, the 999 membership. That really helps us out. It keeps us going and helps us get more stuff done, because we do need to get equipment to convert some more stuff. And every little bit you can helps us. So in the meantime, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. That really helps us, with the search engines and that. Give us a thumbs up, and we appreciate it. And it's a good way of showing a sign of support that don't even cost anything. So thank you all for showing up. And next week there will not be a show because it's a Veterans Day. Mm-hmm. And being a vet, that's kind of an important day for me.
Me too.
And I hope everyone enjoys themselves on Veterans Day in Las Vegas. It's a big thing here. So that, and I don't know about the week after, because that's the week before, the Sunday before Thanksgiving. Then you got the Sunday after Thanksgiving. So keep your eyes open on the emails. I'll let you know as soon as I know what's going to happening. Okay. And thank you for showing up, Ralph, and we appreciate seeing you as always.
Always a pleasure.
And I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you so much. I'll see you next week or whenever. And